Hamas's political chief Khalid Mashal has called on Palestinians to unite and continue their resistance against Israel.
والذهاب إلى خياراتنا الوطنية الحقيقية.
Any leader who wants al-Quds, the right of return for all Palestinians and our land back, including that seized in 1967, as well as ending the Israeli settlement expansions, should know that the path towards these objectives is not through negotiations or betting on the Americans, but through resistance and national unity.
Mashal says 16 years of compromise with Israel, starting with the 1993 Oslo Accords, has failed to stop Israeli settlement expansions. He added that talks have not brought Palestinians closer to regaining the land that Israel has occupied since 1967. Mashal made the comments in Damascus, where the 22nd anniversary of the founding of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad movement was being celebrated. He added that the U.S. has failed to act justly for the rights of the Palestinian people. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon says he will send the Goldstone report on Israel's war on Gaza to the Security Council. This comes a day after the General Assembly overwhelmingly passed a resolution that called on Israel and the Palestinians to probe war crimes in Gaza. The Assembly also approved the UN-backed Goldstone report, headed by former South African judge Richard Goldstone. The report accuses Israel and Palestinian fighters of committing war crimes during Israel's onslaught on Gaza at the turn of the year. Israel has already rejected the UN resolution and called the report biased. This as Hamas has welcomed the move and promised to set up a commission to probe the charges. Israel's 22-day war on Gaza left more than 1,400 Palestinians dead, most of them civilians. The Palestinian Liberation Organization factions have rejected a request by acting Palestinian Authority chief Mahmoud Abbas not to run for re-election. This while the Hamas movement has called on Abbas to admit that his diplomatic strategy has failed. Press TV's Sari Al-Khalibi reports.
Acting PA chief's decision not to run for re-election, set for January, has sparked mixed reactions in the Palestinian territories. Hundreds of the Fatah movement supporters hit the streets of the West Bank in support of Mahmoud Abbas. The demonstrations were an attempt to change the mind of the Fatah leader and get him to run for re-election.
If Mahmoud Abbas steps down and let the Palestinians handle, we shall stop all kinds of connections with the Israeli officials.
During his speech on Thursday, Abbas said he had enough of the Israeli irresponsibility and expressed his disappointment of the American attitude. He also blamed Hamas for blocking the national reconciliation efforts. Sami Abu Zuhri, a Hamas spokesman, believes Abbas was abandoned by Israel and the U.S.
Abbas must become clear with the Palestinians and admit that his diplomatic path has reached a deadlock. It's time to work on reaching a national reconciliation and to support the resistance against occupation.
Stepping down must not be an option for Abbas. Instead, he must find new strategy to secure a national consensus and lead to a real political achievement.
Abbas's popularity has been in steep decline over the past month after he initially bowed to U.S. pressure to shelve UN decision of the Goldstone report into alleged war crimes in Gaza at the behest of the administration. Many experts argue that Abbas's decision is a maneuver, while others fear that it might lead to a political suicide. In response to Abbas's speech, the U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said the U.S. is willing to work with Abbas in any new capacity. Sari Al-Khalili, Press TV, Ramallah.